Excellent. Let's see. All right. So I hopped on to kind of talk to you guys. First was about my dilemma, is what I believe is on there. And honestly, you guys, my dilemma is that I have um, I have this uh, hand dermatitis, and I've noticed that it kind of I've noticed that it actually like shows up more frequently when I so let's back up. I started doing my own nails as a hobby because it was kind of therapeutic, but I don't know how to respect my side nails, so I end up like this side part over here. I end up like going a little too hard over there and messing it up. So that's one of the reasons why I don't think I should be doing them. Even though I enjoy it, like I do enjoy like all the fun stuff and trying out the different designs and all that good stuff. But I'm just really at a point where I need to I need to make sure that like I'm not using that machine because the light when I put it under the light, it makes like my nails get really really dry, and I feel like it's sped up the process of like the eczema and the nail the hand dermatitis. And so it's like every time I go get my nails done, I'll put them in the machine because I'm getting gel or something, so they can last a little bit longer. And my nails will get all like my fingers will get all bumpy, and like as soon as I put them under hot or cold water, they'll get super itchy. It'll be like the weirdest thing. So I'm thinking I need to just continue to enjoy the next 2 weeks or so of playing around with my nails and doing my little polka dots because it's the best I could get. I got some like X and O's and stuff like that. I could do some little cute stuff, but I figure I'm just gonna have to kind of let it go because I'm not a nail tech. And that's been something I've been struggling with because I enjoy like trying new stuff. But I think I also have to, because of what my nails are showing me, like even just going and getting them done at the regular salon, putting them under that machine is causing more dermatitis on my fingers. So I'm gonna have to become like a natural nail girly. So I figured play with them, have fun for a little bit. So I figured out my dilemma. So luckily that for me, that part is over with. The other part of the reading, this reading is about alchemy and versus magic. So I just want to be clear that alchemy and magic are, are two different things. First of all, alchemy is and transmutation are kind of similar in my opinion. But give me a second. As per usual, I have some notes on this. Me and my notes. So they come from basically different purposes, methods, and origins, right? Alchemy is like you're supposed to like transform. So it's more of like a chemistry. So if you will, alchemy is when you're changing, like if they say you're having a DNA upgrade in a reading, what that's meaning is that you're using alchemy to basically change how you respond to things. So figuring out your triggers and being able to stop them. Like that's another thing too. I wondered because I used to have OCD. And I really mean, like, people are like, yeah, everybody says that about being neat and organized. No, I literally would wash my hands repetitively. And I had to train my own self to think and know, like, hey, once or twice was enough. And there's this thing that I still have. If I drive a car, as soon as I get out, I have this compulsive, I have to wash my hands. And it's fine because I've been able to put it to use. Like, oh, this is a good, regimen just doing this. But that's a part of the chemistry of alchemy that people need to be able to use in order to defeat anything that may be holding them back from their highest self, right? And then magic is being able to use traditions, spiritual things to assist you with that. So some people may say sage, some people may say crystals, some people may say praying prostrate, some people may say getting up at a certain time of the day, some people may say all of those. You know what I mean? Because I believe it brings this full balance because you want to be balanced in your mind, body, and spirit, and you use alchemy, magic, and also transmutation to do that. Now, here's the thing: when people send, so how the way entity, and I think this is just like a segue into something different, but the way that entities are formed is by from energy, right? So people invoke entities through their energy, right? And when people send a lot of energy to one specific person and they are able to transmute it or alchemize it, they are creating their own entity based off of what their beliefs are and what they want to use that energy for. I hope you're following me. These are how you win these spiritual battles, okay? This is what I'm talking about. Like, really, that's all it comes down to, is winning these spiritual battles and becoming your highest self. Jesus is definitely a part of that, but Jesus doesn't necessarily talk about the modern day things that we're facing. And a lot of people fail to realize that a part of theology that they don't tell you about is mysticism. So everybody's saying, "Oh, find Jesus." Okay, ask your, your pastor if they studied in theology. If they studied mysticism, if they studied magic and the dark arts, they had to. So that's why I don't understand why isn't it then conveyed over to the regular modern day people so that they can utilize it in a way that best benefits them. You know what I mean? And I think that's where we fail ourselves, is by not knowing what the proper processes are. For some people, like I said, it can be exercising on a regular routine. So, and people have to understand too, the process doesn't have to be quick. It doesn't have to look like what it looks like already over there at someone else's area. Someone else's process may be, okay, I'm not in the gym for 4 hours a day, right? But that's my goal, right? Okay, so right now I'm getting in 20 minutes or a walk around the block, because we all have to start somewhere. And I think that's the part that people forget. They want to be, it's that instant coffee. And trust me, I know all about instant coffee. That was the way I lived my life. But that's when I learned that, like, instant coffee is not going to enable you to utilize alchemy and transmutation, because you just get caught up in the everyday things. And that's what we see. People get caught up in the 9 to 5s and not making an opportunity for themselves and saying, okay, why can't I get this, small business, this, this little business of mine off the ground? Well, a part of it may be that you need to regiment yourself, because I feel like that's a part of it. I feel like that's where, people want to say, find Jesus. Yes, but what all does Jesus teach you? Like, you have time to be over here in my known tarot card reading, and you know what I talk about on this channel, but you decide to be here, so it's kind of like, well, what are you engaging yourself in? And I think that that's also where the collective is right now. The only things that the collective is really engaging themselves are the things that actually make them better, make them get them to where they're going. Anything outside of them is no longer getting any of their energy, attention, focus, time, none of that, right? And I feel like because of that, it feels like you're expecting something difficult and hard to be the next phase right now. This necklace is clearly taking me through a loop, but anyway, you're expecting something to be difficult and hard right now, but in reality, it's really very easy. Like, you're finding, like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't have to put so much energy, because once you're able to create your own protective entity out of love and respect and all these wonderful things, you can utilize it for your own highest good, which means that there will be no distractions. There will be no outside influence. You will have everything that it is that your highest self wants you to have and experience, Sorry, my nose is kind of running and I don't know why, but okay. So that's where everybody is right now, as far as I know, but I wanted to bring that information up about the difference between alchemy, transmutation, and magic, because I feel like that was incredibly important for people to know what they're doing, or how it looks. And for each person, it's different. That's why I don't really like doing the collective tarot card readings, because it may be a total miss. You know what I mean? I like to do individual tarot card readings in conjunction with helping people find the spiritual means that don't go outside of their own comfort zone. You know what I mean? Somebody may be really comfortable praying prostrate and getting up at 4:30 in the morning, but they're not comfortable lighting sage, right? And then I think also it's a part of people understanding what they're actually up against. Some people say, "Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I've got this, I can't get over this hump and I have this creative hump." No, those are demonic attachments. And you're allowing yourself to succumb to them by saying, "Oh, I have this," or "Oh, I have that." That is pretty much drinking the Kool-Aid, you know? In my opinion, it's eating the pudding, whatever, whatever fits your fancy, but that's essentially what it is. And also, we have to watch the things that become, what are like addictions, because a lot of us struggle with that no matter what, For some people, it could be like I was saying, my addiction is right now is my nails, is wanting to do my nails so bad that I'm going to tear them up, have no sidewall, just looking like, and then on top of that, taking myself to have treatments on my fingers that are going to make them even worse. Like at a certain point, we have to see where we're our own worst enemy. But for some people, it's bigger, and for some people, it's really small, like on the level that I'm talking about. I don't feel like my nails are the biggest thing, right? But they are huge, because I also have been getting my nails done for a really long time. So you have to consider like the length of time and what it is that spirit is showing me now. Like I've been getting my nails done for 30 years, literally. Since I was about 15 years old, I've been getting my nails done. I'm 45, okay, solidly 45. So 30 years of this manipulation has caused me to have maybe even more problems. Who knows? We don't know how things affect us over time, right? But the goal is to continue to regress back in the years mentally and transmute those situations, or do a mental regression, or up what it's like up level that experience. Say, well, this taught me this, but because I'm able to see that, this makes me better over here. Like the things that I learned as a child may help me be a better parent, may help me be a better mentor, may help me be a better friend. So it's about using those things in the proper way, ultimately. I didn't mean for this to be super long, but if anybody has anything they want to add or anything like that, or ask, etc., I'm more than glad to do that. I think the only other thing I was going to do, it was like tarot me something I don't know, which is usually what I mean when I'm saying that is like, can anyone contribute to the conversation in a way that they know something that we can have a dialogue? That's actually what I'm trying to communicate here. Is like, because my goal is not to just be here telling you everything and sounding like, as my daughter would say, I want to make sure that it's actually being useful, and outside of the few likes, I'm not sure who this is reaching, but I want to be helpful regardless, and, in every way. And if you're just here to see, like, if I'm going to do some cards, well, then ask for the cards, because I'm here to appease. I'm not here to, be disagreeable. Everybody's on their own journey. And, I know that quite a bit of the collective is in a space where, our journeys aren't even recognizable, in tarot card readings anymore. So, because we're just not, our energy is not connected to the low vibrational energies that may be penetrating those readings, if that makes sense. Makes sense to me. Sounded good. Sounded really good. Maybe some people are just here for this. This whole energetic, vivacious, strong, courageous, passionate, funny, independent, confident, optimistic, outgoing, assertive, sexy, chaotic, hot-tempered, forgetful, efficient. And maybe also some of the energy that the collective is experiencing right now too. Like I'm feeling all of that. Chaotic to me is mostly coming in like when it comes to dinner. The first thing I thought was like, did you go and prep those such and suches? You know what I mean? Because having 3 children at home, and then it's also hitting me too. One of my children is going to be leaving the nest soon to go to college, and so that's a whole different experience and feeling in itself. So I feel like, for a lot of the collective, we have real lives, that don't involve these people who don't have the mental clarity, capacity, energy, etc., etc., to really have, capable conversations, dialogues, communications, relationships, etc. Did you ever notice that synchronicity is beyond the will to asserted? Just the cards, Queen. The synchronicity is beyond the will to assert. I don't understand that statement entirely. Did maybe there's an extra word or two? Did you ever notice that the synchronicity is beyond the will to assert just the cards? Oh yes, that's why I don't know, maybe you need to rewind back a bit because I said it's beyond the cards a long time ago. But like you need to go back to my old readings because it's way beyond that. It's about understanding scripture, it's about understanding other religions, it's about understanding like your actual heritage, like where you come from, what's been passed down from you. Like there are ancestral things that are real too. Like for me, I am the only granddaughter that was born by any of my grandmother's daughters. So if you understand the womb energy, which comes with spiritual knowledge that they don't teach in your Bible. See, you got to understand it goes way deeper than you may know. So coming at me saying, well, have you thought that it's beyond the cards? Yeah, I've already been way beyond the cards because it calls for that when you're a real high priestess, when you really know how to heal yourself and others, because that's what I do here. I don't know what you guys are here for. I don't know what other channels you watch, but that's what I do here. That's why it says specifically, I don't do card readings. I can't do tarot card readings. I can do them, but I can't do that if you want the spiritual help that you're looking for, which is for people to, grow. And, it's a great question. And I'm glad that I'm triggered by it because it's going to help me later to be able to not be triggered by it and to be able to express it in a very eloquent way, because I watch all my stuff afterwards anyway to like critique myself and just be, clear. But that's why I'm saying like, you really have to dig into me. I'm not some like popping, kind of person. I go deep. I was deep before I got here, if that makes sense. A lot of it was because God said, okay, get up at 4:30 every morning, read your scripture every morning, have that quiet time, that miracle, minute with morning with yourself. Before I learned about what that even was from other people, got to the point to where I was sitting in sermons that I already had with myself during the week. So I'm sitting in Sunday service like, but didn't I just... And I don't sit in like, I'm not structured. I'm just like, okay, let's let the Bible fly open. And this was years ago. So when people tell me, oh, you don't, how'd you get here from I understood. I understood the assignment. And again, like I said, the lineage part for me is the fact that my grandmother was this great person. She was a Black Panther, you know what I mean? She was, not just a revolutionary, but she grew up in cotillions. And, she did a lot of great and amazing things, not just for herself and her family, but for the community. She was building homes in Africa when she passed away. And again, like I said, if you understand womb energy, I'm the only granddaughter born from her children who are women. So if you understand womb energy, when a woman gives birth to a female child, that female child already has their female child's eggs in their body. So when you're having a woman, you already have that there, and so on and so forth. So I'm pretty much like my grandmother's daughter. That's why they say sometimes things skip generations. All of these things that we've heard are true, but we have to kind of understand them to a different depth. I feel like a lot of what we've learned over the course of life has been a parable, even in school. I've broken down the nursery rhymes at certain points. Bad, bad black sheep, have you any wool? Why is the sheep having to give their wool away? It seems like it's identified to be sacred and different from all the other ones. And why, are they being, there's a lot, you know what I mean? There's a lot that you can get into when you start to understand the organizations, the structures, and there's a lot to encompass when you start to understand the human experience, which is why a lot of us divine beings are here, is to help you guys understand what your purpose is. We talk about these contracts. You guys need to understand those things too. Like, how do I get out of these contracts? How do I get into these contracts? What do these contracts feel like? Am I supposed to fulfill this contract? How do I do that? There are a lot of questions, that people don't always have, and people don't know how, like, okay, so is this holding me back from receiving what I want to? Like I said a long time ago, I did a reading for a young lady, and just in our dialogue, in addition to the reading, I understood from the cards and just in me reading her energy and what's happening in her life is that the problem was not, her ambition, her goals, her studying habits, etc. It was her not letting go of this guy. Because no matter what we would be talking about, and she knew she had the knowledge for the position and the wherewithal for the test, and all the pre-testing went well. God can't bless her in that instance. He can't give her what it is that she feels like is her next or highest level, because she's attached to someone that cannot go with her. And that is just a reality of it. We sometimes are attached to people who just cannot go with us, because they will end up doing things maliciously, whether knowing or unknowing, to try to hinder us from what it is that we want to achieve in life. And when you're around that type of negative energy, it's not good. Like, people who are like, oh, she thinks she all that because she can go and buy this and that and this and that. Like, you don't need that type of, that's what this is. Energy is huge, and crucially important. So yes, God's harness. I have, and that's why my understandings are, no, we can do, we can do, some readings along with other things. But my goal is to help people in this spiritual battle, to fight these demonic oppressions that people say, oh, I'm just depressed. Oh, I'm just getting over this. No, these are demonic oppressions, and we need to know how to fight them. Look at this. A lot of people want this, and that's part of the goal. By this, I mean this paired union. Funny, those are the only 2 cards that have come out, and I've been flipping this whole time. So that's also part of it too. The cards just help people to see it right in front of them, and that's why even when I do cards within my spiritual business, when I start to work with people, I do the cards just like this. So we're either on Instagram, video chat, or we're on Facebook, Messenger or FaceTime or something like that, in order to be able to, allow them to see the cards, because I want you to see them pop out. Because I've had people who were skeptics, and a lot of people find it's just a lot of confirmation. But the difficulty people find is allowing that confirmation to withstand them the distance to get to the ultimate goal, right? That's where the transmutation and the magic and the, alchemy comes into play. And that's all I'm here to kind of maybe expose and help people discover and understand. So I think that was actually excellent, God's harness, and I appreciate you challenging me to bring that back forward, but to find a better way to express it quickly. All right, anybody else have anything? I love that though, because that, a lot of times that's been the struggle, is I've been wanting to make sure people get that, because I don't think that, the clicking on to my YouTube actually tells you what I'm all about. I mean, it does if you take the time, but if you're just tuning in here and there, you might just see, card readings, my goal is to help you to move on to bigger and better things, because I feel like that's what we want. And we want that on every level. Like, again, my goal some years ago, was to be healthy in every way. And my relationship, like I said, with God started it didn't start a long time ago. But then it got into the Bible reading, and then it got into the hiking. And those hikings got me to higher heights where you're literally just in a different atmosphere, right? And in a different atmosphere, you experience a different vibration. Just like when you're on a plane ride. Think about it. Plane rides are either scary to some people, right? Or they're really, mystical. There was one time when I was riding a plane home from Las Vegas, and this is right around where my spiritual journey started. And around the plane, this is right when that started. Around the plane, while we were flying in the air, there was an orb rainbow around the plane, guys. And it was just going with us. And everybody was like, whoa. And I videotaped it and all of that. And it was just kind of like, wow. And in that moment, I felt like God was telling me, like, you're very protected. Just keep going. Don't stray. Just keep going higher. Just keep, elevating. And that's always been, my goal. Again, I led a church ministry in high school. In my senior year of high school, I was taking college classes at the junior college, and the football players there knew me, and they would call me Praying Tasha. And I didn't know that because they weren't saying it in a nice way. Okay. But one of the football players happened to go to my church, and he knew. So he told me. So it's it's something that, like, it's always in us, and spirituality makes me feel a lot closer, because I don't need anybody telling me. And again, like I said, sitting in those sermons, hearing the message, and then I went outside of that church to the point where I was online church and at Elevation Church, which I still think is amazing, and I love their music, and it's great. And I was even working with them to onboard new members. Okay? But it got to be a lot to try to split myself between 2 churches, and to be a full-time mom of 3, and to also be self-employed. And, there were a lot of things that I was trying to wait on, and that's also part of it. you don't feel like that's supposed to be your life, and you feel like, man, I'm not supposed to be working this hard. Like, I'm grateful for everything I have, but I know I'm supposed to have more. Or there are things that I want more, that I believe I deserve them. It's true. It's just about making sure that you align yourself with that. And sometimes we don't even realize that the frequencies aren't matching up with what we want. Like, we see it, but we don't. Like, for the longest, I did not believe that my girlfriend, my bestie, you know what I mean, was a part of my problem. But every time we get on the phone, she was gossiping about someone else to me. And so from there, hi, Abbas. From there, I knew that it had to be a problem. There's also things like, when you ask God for signs, you'll get them, like, okay, let me know if this new friend is for me or not. You know what I mean? You might notice you get a headache every time you talk to them, or you're drained after you get off the phone. These things, yeah. These things, the reason why you're at a stalemate, that's what Spirit's telling me. The reason why you're at a stalemate in the first place is because you already know that it's not correct for you. Things that feel good, again, that's also a part of it. That's why my philosophy is what it is. It's like, no, it's not this or not that. It's about doing everything that feels comfortable. So, like, you may not like burning sage, you may feel more comfortable getting some crystal bracelets, which I feel all of them are very good. I found that they all provide a certain type of energetic presence, if you will, that work, in my opinion, here from God for us. Like, that's why these gems and crystals, if you think about it, that's probably what they used to ornament themselves in their armor, when they fought battles. It wasn't just the basic stuff. I imagine, different things were made out of different, materials and stuff like that. So, anywho, anybody have anything else? I'm doing excellent. I have some food to prepare. I've spent my time very wisely today. I've been like super productive, and we're going into a weekend, right? Tomorrow's Friday. So I have some really exciting stuff. Oh, I got some candy apples so the kids and I can like decorate those, because I don't think my children have had them. Like, I don't think they remember either, because it was probably like as we used to walk through the mall. But COVID changed everything. And then even when we did recently, my daughter was more interested in buying the biggest squishimals or the biggest, toys, some type of plushie. That's what her life is all about. Yeah. And so, let's see. Yeah, innocence, freedom. Yep, that's what life is supposed to be filled with. Not like a lot of this indecision and frustration and what do I do now and why is this so hard? Why is this just so difficult? So I feel like that's where everybody in the collective is. We're moving out of that energy into this innocent freedom to be ourselves, to do things the way that we want to, because it usually works out best that way, right? Right. Anyway, to travel, to be into foolishness and carelessness. And I feel like those are in the arena of when you tap into your childhood energy, but not like in a malicious way. It's like I said, candy apples. I'm thinking of the different ways, so the foolishness of it is that my daughter's probably going to do hers really wild. And that's probably a part of the fool energy that I need to embrace and love in her, because it's not always about us too, right? Sometimes the stuff that comes up in these readings equate to people that we I really shuffle with the intent to encourage. All of my intents are to encourage. To encourage, and during the disclosure of the first card, you notice it services than enough information for you to convey. Yeah. Honestly, I don't need, if I have a dialogue, like if you and I were to converse and talk and spend time with each other one on one, yes, I would be able to read you like that. I don't need a card. I don't need bones. I don't need any of that. Sometimes it's just an encounter. I've literally read people in my previous business, that because I was self-employed, so I know, which is slam, but in that previous entrepreneurship that I was in that previous line of business, I would read my clients like that, and they used to wonder, like, how are you so good at figuring out this, which house we should get? Oh, because intuitively I know. So I don't need to go. I could tell people's marital discrepancies and all kinds of stuff just by hanging. I didn't know anything about tarot cards then. Okay. Tarot cards are not, this is it's not new. It's newer, if you will. So because I've always been in tune with trying to figure out more what's in me. Like I said, I'm a high priestess. I don't make things up. Like I'm about the healing, about healing generational curses. What are your issues? Is your addiction men? Is your addiction love? Is it, are you too materialistic? Those are the things that I dive into. But that's hard for people to face. It's hard for me to admit that with my nails, and that's why I started off with that, because it can be that big or small that really hinders you from doing the best thing for yourself in general, just period. And it becomes smaller the more you actually heal, though. That's also what I want people to understand. So the reason why it may seem small to people, like, oh, she's talking about her side nail, her sidewall on her nail, biggie. It is a biggie because I'm not paying attention to myself, and I'm deciding to go against, you know what I mean, and create more problems for myself, right? Seems small. But if you're a thinking person, you're cognizant of all the different things that happen out throughout the day. And that's what my goal is to help people dig into their own intuition. I don't want to guide you through your life. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to help you to see that there are different paths and that you have the option to take whichever one that you want to. Okay? And if you, along the way, there may be different things that you encounter or experience or come to know, just because I've experienced downloads. I've understand a lot of different things, and God often puts us in that way so that we can relate to people on the most, like, it feels absurd because it's like, how can one person understand so many people to so many different levels? Well, that's what we were made for, right? And I haven't met other people like me. It would be great. Because then they can understand where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? But not a lot of people want to walk the path of healing. Let's just be honest. People look at it and say, oh, they don't want to hear what we're telling them. How does this person know? I only say this because I register you doing this often. So this is all just a nudge. This is very effective with what's within you. Yeah, and I'm trying to find my own, like, gel, because everybody else is literally just here doing tarot card readings. And I'm doing, research and sharing that information and, the processes, and I don't feel comfortable sharing the processes of transmutation and alchemy and digging into those past life traumas, etc., etc. Some people may not want to delve into the esoteric things, like the Akashic records. I'm very well versed in a lot of the different things. I've healed myself of hemiplegic migraines, which is a real thing. It presents in the body like a stroke, but I healed myself from that, by the way I lived my life, what I felt, what I put and prioritized as utmost importance. And it took a long time, because you don't understand, when you're making good money, sometimes that's a huge deterrent for you to get focused on, like, oh, well, I'm gonna just keep doing this because the money is good. But I'm not realizing, like, dang, I never have a weekend off. I've always got my kids, I'm dragging them around in the car. And, it takes, a lot of different things. So, and I knew that that's not ultimately what I wanted, or what I desired, nor was it what I deserved. The more I started to dig into what I wanted and what I desired, and healing those parts of me that wouldn't allow me to accept the truth, which is, again, that's the biggest part of it. Like I said, one of my previous, clients, over and over, explained to him, you need to limit how going into your dad's house. If your brother lives there and you know that your brother is, like, you guys have had this pent up aggression for years, it's not a safe place. He didn't listen. He went over on Christmas, got beat up, ended up with a black eye and in the hospital. And it's not necessarily like that the card said, oh, he's going to, it's what I felt. It's what I understood. The cards were just confirming it for me so I could help him. And he knew that. He knew that, especially afterwards. Because, when you go through something traumatic like that, as an adult, you have to call into work, right? Because you can't go to work with busted eye, right? You got conversations to have when that happens. So it's all of these different emotions that is what the demonic oppressions are trying to do, is keep you in a low vibration. So that's why I say it goes way beyond any of this card stuff. It goes way beyond, like, you can buy the crystals. Lady told me that a long time ago. And I did. I bought all the crystals, and I love my crystals. And I don't want to part with any of them, and I'll probably get more, But it's about how you use things, what you feel, what resonates. Because a lot of times, collective messages, collective resonation. It may be one piece and part of that that is actually a part of your story that you need to be connecting with. It could be the complete opposite, just because the way that these energies work, too. You know, you can be taken down a rabbit hole, if you will. Um, can confuse people. I've heard that a lot too. Like, it can confuse people on what's real, what's fake, which way to go, what way to go. If you find yourself like this all the time, that's not a good energy, right? Stay where it feels secure. Stay where it feels safe, you know. Take breaks, and that's for with everything. You know, too much of anything will you, right? Too much of anything, you know, can destroy you in reality, right? So like, I think I'm actually gonna get going because I've got to go and get some after school snacks ready. So I might hop on at another time. If you want to email me at fancygranolagoddess@gmail.com, I can definitely do free readings, but I need you to, the best process that I know is for you to email me your information and what your question is. You can ask multiple questions. I'll give everybody that's on this live up to 5 questions that they can ask me. And I'll designate a time over this weekend that I'll answer all of those. Um, Probably Saturday morning, because those always work well for me. So Saturday morning, I'll do another live where I'll answer all of the questions and do the card pulls on the individuals that email me. And again, the email is fancygranolagoddess@gmail.com. But that's the most organized fashion to do it. And then that way I can set up a fresh deck for each person. You know, I'm just trying to be as, you know, comprehensive as I possibly can about it too. Yes, for free. But you just have to email me. Okay, up to 5 questions. And I typically just pull until we get the answers that we need. So, um, yep, I will. Okay, email. It's my name here, Fancy Granola Goddess at gmail.com. I get an energy of this truck driver. You're ready to kind of put down the truck driving too. So there's some information that your spirit guides want me to help you to know if that resonates with you. So yeah. So email me at fancy. Oh, actually, I'm in the live, so I'll type it in the live. And I'll put it in the comments too. And this is from my other page where I do celebrity readings. That's also been what I've been wanting to do, is do celebrity readings, because it's one person. And it's easier for me to pick up and tap into individual energies. Fancy Granola Goddess at gmail.com. Yep. Ooh. Yep. So there you go. And then I'll pin it in the comments as well. And then I'll be doing that live reading on Saturday morning. I'll just put up a pin for it. But yeah, Saturday mornings work good for me. So, all right. If anybody has any other questions they'd like, don't feel free to email me there as well. FancyGranolaGoddess@gmail.com. I hope this has been helpful and insightful in some way. Catch you in the next one. Later.